We may all be divided if there should be a female protagonist or not, but if we can all agree on one thing, can we agree actor Kensho Ono's Yuya slash Zark slash Yuri performance is amazing? Oh my god, what a great acting episode. This guy can do no wrong. He could do any character he wants. Hell, he can do my girlfriend if he wants. But just like, oh my god, from beginning to end, this was an amazing, balls to the wall, awesome, action-packed duel, and a great conclusion to a duel we've been seeing coming for what, like 100 episodes now? Come on, we all knew Yuya had to fight Yuri at some point, but it was just so freaking awesome the way they did it. First and foremost, I want to address a couple little things. One thing I quite enjoyed in this was the sort of reality warping. I assumed the way it was going to work, the cannon would just fire and that would be the end of it. Like, they just get sent to some sort of mini dimension as the universe reforms, or the cannon would just never fire. But it did, and I liked the effect. I liked the idea that rewriting the entire code of reality took more than 5 minutes. It did take, I guess, like a half an hour. I think all of this is being done in real time. That was really cool. I mean, yeah, it wasn't very obvious. All they were doing was they drew the scenes as normal, and then in post-production, during editing, just warped everything on the computer. Yeah. Could you have maybe had the characters interact with the bizarre new environment a little more? Yeah. Did it all in all have too much of an effect on the scene as it was going on? Not entirely, but it still looked pretty cool. I mean, think about it. This Yu-Gi-Oh villain just literally caused reality to shift in paradigm and change. And I did enjoy the fact that as the duel went on, we saw that the more time they were taking, the worse things were getting as reality collapses, and I quite liked that. I also liked Reiji did get to play a role in this, and he wasn't just like silent like he was in the last episode, only saying something every now and again. He played a very important role. He was able to keep Yuya calm as long as he could, and that's saying a lot when you consider half of our main cast isn't even here right now. So I enjoyed that as well. I feel like there's some sort of metaphor about Yuya's relationship with Reiji and Reiji's relationship to Yuya's dad and his own father. I feel there's some sort of message here about paternal bonds and relationships and things like that, but honestly, I don't really care about that right now because everything else is just too awesome. So now that we've covered that, let's get right into the meat of this. This whole duel was excellent. I would have liked to have maybe seen some more monsters, more than just our 4 dragons, but I liked how Yuya's way of winning actually revolved around needing all 3. He used all their effects to take down Star Venom, and I thought it was really entertaining the way he did sort of go from one to the other to the third, and I like how you can sort of draw interest in that, because to me it felt like the minute he started that, that's when Zark slowly starts taking over. And if you listen to the way Ono does the performance, you hear, as that scene progresses, you hear more of Zark's voice take over Yuya's voice. Again, he has to balance 3 different performances here at once, and it's all, I think, just really well handled. No discredit to the guy playing Yuto and Yugioh. He is also great, but again, this is really the guy who I think steals the whole show. And while we're on the subject, it is really creepy watching Yuto, Yugioh, and Yuri sort of all go along with each other, being like, we must be one, we must be one. Again, I think it really was great that they gave time to establish all 3 of their characters. It would have been really easy to only give Yuya screen time and only develop him and the rest just feel like part of the same sort of thing. But no, you came to come and like all 3 of them, like especially with Yugioh, who's my favorite of the 4, seeing him like have his personality sucked away and just become part of this puzzle is kind of creepy, and Yuya as well. As I often say, I am often get creeped out by the cerebral and the concept of losing one's consciousness to something like this. This was a really creepy and effective way to do it. I love the back and forth throughout Yuya in this whole thing. Yuri doesn't care about anything. He just gets entertained by chaos and hurting people. So for him, becoming the ultimate king of chaos and hurting people's fine with him. He doesn't care. He's given into it. Yuya is fighting and he is struggling, and every line you hear that in the voice. The animation also helps. I love the way shadow was used in this episode, especially on Yuri. You really do feel the intensity as he goes more and more into it, as he gets more into what they're becoming, and you see Yuya as the shadows really represent how he's losing himself and how it kind of struggles within him. I thought that was great symbolism and just a really cool animation trick. It was really fun to watch. And oh my god, how can you not talk about the discarding of Smile World? As I said last week, and as I personally believe, Smile World is not really a good card. It's good in cheeky OTK combos like what he did against Jack and things like that, but for the most part, it's not a card that advances your game state much. The thing is that what I enjoyed though here is what it means to Yuya. It doesn't have to be a good card. It is a symbol of his relationship with his father, and that was the thing keeping him stable. Again, it would have been so easy. Yuya goes away, Yuya's father goes away, Zark takes over, done. But no, we got to see this struggle. We got to see this in him as he tries so very hard to remain so in control and keep trying. And here's the crazy part. Here's the most twisted part of the whole thing. He wins! Like, I had a lot of comments being like they wanted Yuri to win, but no, Yuya wins. He did everything right. He had to discard Smile World. He would have lost. If this was any other duel, any other situation, okay, discard a spell card that's not going to help me much, who cares? It would normally be no problem, but because he is so vulnerable, because every fiber of his being is being torn apart for this monster to come out, it is just such a beautifully dark and tragic scene. I could see someone without the context not thinking too much of it, but oh my god, it's amazing. Like, it's such a great scene. I felt so sorry for him. Because, again, at this point, if you haven't figured out what Smile World means to him and what his father means to him and all this happening to his father, you've missed the whole show. Like, oh, it was just amazing and beautiful to watch. The trap card he used is not very good in normal circumstances, but I will always remember this card for giving us this amazing scene. As for what happened from there, the whole final turn was like, it was exhausting, like so many cards being thrown at each other, but you are able to follow everything because you're so geared into this pacing format by this point that I really just quite enjoyed the way that was handled. Again, every dragon got to do something, which is what I quite enjoyed, and I did sort of also like the fact that he had the two random performer pals that actually had okay effects, but they were important for winning this duel, and it's what allowed him. And again, he won. He did everything right. But because I like the fact that it always relates back to the theme that nothing going on is in our character's control. Everyone is just trying their best to get some resemblance of power to do something, but it is ultimately futile. Yuya did everything he could. Yuri pushed him to the limit, and what allows Zark to take over, what essentially gives him his A, so many dragons being in one spot, but also what allows him to do it is that for Yuya to win, he needs to push himself mentally and physically to figure this out. Zark feeds on that ability for him to do that. He needs to draw more power from within himself to win the duel. His power comes from Zark because he was originally part of him. So bringing that out, bringing in that final dose of power is what he needed to win, but it is ultimately what allows Zark to take him over. I love you hear it as it happens. A big grin just went over my face because I'm like, by God, I am listening to what is an ingenious direction from both director and actor and writer and producer, and everyone involved had to have come up with what may sound simple, but is a lot harder than you might think. Not every actor can keep all these performances straight and still figure out a way to get in those inflections. Not throwing everything down your throat. If you didn't notice this, it was probably a cool moment to see Zark take over. If you did notice the acting, oh god, I hope you're as impressed by I am. This was just an amazing 25 minutes. I've gone on about 9 minutes and 10 seconds, but it's so freaking cool. Like, you see the cannon go off, you see reality falling apart, you see Yuya be tortured and lose. What was he supposed to do? If he loses, Zark wins. If he wins, Zark wins. There's nothing, and that is what is so dramatically fascinating about this whole scene. And oh god, just this whole thing was amazing. I think I got everything. Not sure what else to say, but I've already rambled on too much. What did you think in the comment section below? Give me your thoughts on everything that's happened this far, and this episode, and this acting. And as for the TCG question of the week, kind of an interesting one. I've been noticing online that cards like Dimension Barrier, Solemn Strike, Pot of Desires, totally awesome. Everything big is going down on price. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because the OCG ban list has a lot of people maybe feeling a little nervous about where to spend their money on Yu-Gi-Oh? Do you think it's because a lot of people think a new ban list is on the horizon for us? Tell us that in the comment section below, and as always, click to like and click to subscribe so we can continue this beautiful acting amazement.